Guys, we prayed before this episode that 30 years from now, your children who will be married and thriving in their marriages will have wonderful sex lives, husbands and wives, Christ following, and it will be connected to this podcast episode. And they won't have a clue that it's connected to this podcast episode. They're just going to know the dad did a great job talking to me about sex. And he just said, it was like, yeah, it's God's good gift. And like the whole Song of Solomon is all about sex. Like sex is not a thing to be ashamed of. Oh yeah, the devil's a pervert and he be perverting stuff. So yeah, the world is whack and we should name it sinful and wrong. So anyway, back to the wholesome thing. So dad just did a great job. So our kids are going to be able to go into their marriages and like, yeah, they're naked and they're not ashamed. And they're able to enjoy the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional gift that God has given. Welcome to the Family Captain Podcast. I'm your host, I'm your coach, John Michael Clark. On this show, we help Christian husbands grow in family leadership and sex and marriage. So if you believe that Jesus is king, and you want to lead your family with strength and love, and you want frequency and freedom in your sex life, then you're in the right place. We're going to help you build an incredible family culture where God is glorified and your family is blessed by your strong, loving leadership.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Family Captain Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Farrell. This show is designed to help you become the greatest man your wife and your kids have ever known. Mr. John Michael Clark, the builder, the leader of the Family Captain. My dude, where are we taking the brothers today?
Men of God, we are going to equip you to talk to your kids about God's good design for the marriage bed. It's been a really taboo thing. There's all kinds of jokes and caricatures about it. Go ask your mother. We are going to make sure that you feel confident. We're going to make sure that you feel well able to father your children in the appropriate ways at the appropriate times so that they have God's perspective for the marriage bed, for sex and marriage, for someday when they're married.
Speaking of perspective, that leads me to my first question, my man. Jam, you say you do not believe that parents should have the sex talk with their kids. Explain.
Right. So yeah, here's my angle and approach there. My point is you shouldn't have the talk. My point is you should have a million of the talks. So the typical perspective is like, you got to take your kid away and go have the official talk with them about the thing. And my point and perspective has been, you should have a million, like you should take every opportunity as it comes. So, whenever it arises in life, you just reference it and you can just say, hey, yeah, it's like blah, 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 and you can move on. I think there's a lot of shame that comes and it's this secrecy around it. Hey, you and me got to have this really heavy conversation. It's really strange. And the kid's like, okay. And we've already framed something up as really odd and bizarre to them, which interestingly enough, like throughout all of human history, kids knew what sex was because they saw the doggies in the yard and they saw the livestock and they saw what the sheep were doing. They saw what all the other mammals were doing. And now we're like, oh my goodness, ask your mother. Like, well, hang on, they can ask their daddy and they can ask their mama. Well, I don't want to tell them all the things. Well, you don't have to tell them all the things, but you can do the age appropriate thing for them at the time. And you want to do every opportunity because that's just how teaching and discipleship work in every other area of life. Take the opportunities as they come, and then you can move on from there. I have found it to be very effective, very helpful. It keeps shame out. They're not being exposed on the school bus or from friends to other things. They're being taught appropriately by daddy and mommy.
So I know a huge objection to multiple talks. Basically, what it's framed as is if it's multiple talks and we're having it much earlier than we had anticipated. And so am I going to steal their innocence? I mean, how do you reckon with that?
So, yeah, we don't want to go too far, and you need to know your children. And that's why I point out that, yeah, it's the right thing at the right time for the right kid. I've had different conversations with different sons at different ages. But yeah, there's an age-appropriate way to speak to those things. If they ask, where do babies come from? You don't have to go, well, let me explain how the daddy inserts the penis into the mommy. Like, that's the appropriate conversation for when they're much, much, much older. But
Mhm.
the 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old, maybe it's just like, oh, that's a special thing. Daddies and mommies make babies together. And they're like, well,
Yeah.
how? Like, I'll tell you more when you're older, but it's a special thing. It's just for daddies and mommies. So you've got the power to modulate and determine when you're gonna share, what you're gonna share, but most parents wait too late. They're always they make that argument, "I don't wanna go too soon, I don't wanna go too soon." Well, remember, throughout all of human history, the 5-year-old was able to go, What are they doing? They're making puppies. What are they doing? They're making piglets. What are they
Mm,
doing? They're making more sheep. And they're like, just s they could put 2 and 2 together and go,
mhm.
"Okay, okay, I can start to figure some things out here just because, I'm around life." Like, 2 things kids were always face to face with throughout all of human history were they understood what sex was, at least at the basic level, and just at basic anatomy, because 'cause they're like, "Oh, I see what the puppies are doing. I see what the pigs are doing. I see what the horses are doing." They always just kinda saw that and just knew like, "Oh, I understand how daddies and mommies make babies too." Um, and death was the other thing, which is not what we're talking about today, but, I've had appendicitis, you've had appendicitis, right? 400 years ago, and every time before that, not just 400, but, much more recent. Daddy's sick, daddy's got a really bad fever, daddy's tummy hurts really bad, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 days later. Notice how I skipped 7. 9 days daddy's dead. It's sad, we're crying, whereas now, people get carted off in this big flashing box called the ambulance. I'm not saying that was ideal. I'm not saying it's good that kids had to face all those things. I'm just saying, these were realities that, sometimes we swing to the other side. We're like, "I don't want them going to a funeral." I'm like, you gotta know your kid, and you gotta do the right thing at the right time. Another conversation. But, yeah, parents typically wait too long, and then their kids are seeing pornographic filth and perversion of the thing. So instead of daddy and mommy saying, "Hey, daddies and mommies make babies," "Oh, Sarah's pregnant. Oh my goodness, that's exciting." "Yeah, her and Uncle Mike made a baby." "They did?" "Yeah, that's what happens. Daddies and mommies make babies. It's a special thing that God gives to daddies and mommies." "How does it work?" "We'll talk about more when you're older." "Well, I'm really curious." "Well, you're only allowed to talk about it with daddy and mommy, no one else. It's very special, and it's for marriage. And we'll talk more as you get older. We'll keep teaching you more things."
Hmm. Okay. So at what age would you say, let's just take your boys for instance. You have 3 boys, okay? Uh, so at what age were you starting to kind of explain and answer those ongoing questions?
Honest answer, I don't remember.
Really?
Um, but again, it wasn't just one thing. It was little moments like that.
Yeah.
I do remember distinctly. I don't know how old he was, but I do remember distinctly putting together the trampoline with my oldest.
Mhm.
How old was he? I don't know. But we're putting together the trampoline, we're following the instructions together, and it says the male goes into the female.
Mhm.
And instead of like, "Yikes!" Why would you run from it, John Michael? What's
Yeah.
yikes about it? You're revealing, John Michael, that you have some baggage and some head trash. "Well, I don't wanna take his innocence." Hey, good
Right.
news, brother. The trampoline diagram's not gonna take his innocence, okay? "Hey, buddy, do you see how it says the male goes into the female?" "Yes, sir." "Do you know why it says that?" "No, sir." "Well, it's like a daddy going into a mommy to make a baby." "Oh, oh, yeah." So anyway, boom, hand me the wrench. Let's moving on. A little nugget, a little lesson, but it's like it's right here in the instructions.
Yeah.
It was just a gifted to me
Yeah.
just through our day-to-day living, and I'm able to teach it. I'm able to reference it.
Hmm.
Um, another one that even if they're little, you're watching a football game or whatever, and I don't know, the perfume commercial comes on. Those are the ones that I love to make fun of the most. Perfume
Right.
commercials. It's a perfume commercial. It's some woman writhing on the ground with a bottle of perfume, and for those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, you're really missing out because 'cause I'm, writhing
Right, right,
in
right.
passion and lust and desire. So something like that, we always mute commercials, so as soon as the game is off, I
Hmm.
mute. I always mute commercials.
Interesting.
It's so wonderful. If you don't mute commercials, try it.
Bro, that's a
It's
life hack.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Bro, it is so wonderful. You're like, "Wow, peace," instead of, the loud obnoxiousness.
Interesting.
But, so she's writhing around, so I'll mute or change the channel or whatever, but I'd be like, "Hey, that lady, she was acting like, oh, kissy kissy," you can use language instead of being like, "Hey, she's trying to induce lust in men." You don't have to go that
Mhm.
far. Be like, "You notice how she was acting all ooh," and they can kinda giggle and maybe they feel
Mhm.
uncomfortable. Like, yeah, that's that's inappropriate because that's something that she should only be doing with her husband. That's not for the whole world to see. So notice what I did there. I didn't just say every woman who acts like that's a whore, because that's not
Mm.
true. Every woman who acts like that in public's a whore, but not
Mhm.
every woman who acts like that, with her husband. So these are the kind of lessons that people teach. And these are the kind of things that fathers and mothers teach their daughters as well. Like,
Yeah.
oh, look, a woman who knows how to use sensuality. Well, that's wrong. Why is it wrong? Because it's the wrong place. We
Yes.
want we want fire for marriage. We don't want to say, "Oh my goodness, bad girls act like that." Well, in public, absolutely. bad girls dress like that. Well, there's a time and a place for things. So husbands and wives are supposed to have this special gift. God gave it just for daddies and mommies. No one else is supposed to do it except for daddies and mommies. And it's this special thing, and it helps them feel close to each other, and it makes them feel good, and it helps them to make, and that's how they make babies. And it's a
Mhm.
special thing for marriage. But we can continue to say marriage is wonderful. But whenever you see stuff like this, like, oh, what's that guy doing in that commercial? That was weird. He was acting like, ooh, 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 wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's awkward. It's
Mhm.
strange. Yeah. He's acting like he's alone with his wife. That's not appropriate. So we're not just saying all this is always bad, but we're saying this public expression of whatever that was. Yeah, let's pivot away from that. That's not appropriate because
Yeah.
that's a special thing.
Sure.
It's a private thing and it's a special thing. It's not a
Sure.
dirty thing.
So you're basically saying that small, age-appropriate conversations are gonna compound over time. Now, one would argue that, like, this sex talk, this event, allows for the inquisitive kid to just go at it and be like, "Hey, ask whatever questions you want. We're right here." And there's more value in that. What would your response be to that?
Yeah, different kids. I mean, some kids will be like, "All right," and they just won't think about it much, and other kids will be like, "Wow, tell me more." And good news,
Mhm.
mom and dad, you're the one who's constantly gonna be like, "I'll tell you more at the right time. That's enough for now." And
Yeah.
you'll just have to tell them. And by the way, you only talk to daddy and mama about this. You don't talk to your brothers or sisters about it, and then you clarify why. It's not a deep, dark, dirty secret, but it's a private thing, and it's a special thing, and it's a right thing at the right time thing. So you don't talk to Aunt Sarah about it. You don't say, "You and Uncle Mike made the baby and the special thing," and you're like, "No, no, no." You just talk to daddy and mommy about this. You ask us your questions. And yeah, you're talking to your wife. You're saying, "Hey, what do you think? Yeah, how much more do we no, she knows enough for now, or he knows enough for now." Um, so you're figuring that out together, with your helper, with their mama, and you want to be the one that's teaching them, discipling them, but you get to put a cap on it as well and say, "All right, that's enough for now."
Yeah. I've used this inversion example in the past, right? Where it's just like, "Hey, what's the thing we shouldn't do to guarantee that this won't work out?" So, let's just, like, play through a scenario. Your child young, you're giving him a bath, you walk out of the room, you walk back in the room, and, you're like, "Oh, hey, what's up, buddy? How do you handle that?" Because I think there tends to be this, like, this wild card, like, "Oh, I don't know." Either you're mad or what do you do, in a
Yeah, that's a
situation like that?
great point. Do I fully ignore whatever's going on? Little ones are figuring stuff out. And that goes back to your point earlier about like, I don't want to take their innocence. Like, I
Mhm.
don't want them to be like, I don't want to sexualize my children. Well, of course you don't. No one does. And also, they have figured out probably at certain ages that like, whoa, I have certain sensations sometimes in certain places.
Mhm.
And most people I've talked to, most adults realize like, yeah, when I was little, I figured out like, hey, that's nice. That's interesting. So they need daddy and mommy to teach. They need daddy and mommy to instruct. And I remember scenarios like that, bathing the boys or whatever, and you go out of the bathroom for a minute, you come back in, and you're like, "Hey, your wiener's pokey. You,
Mm.
you messing with it?" "Yes, sir." "Leave that thing alone. That thing goes pee pee." "Okay." Like, just
Right.
don't ignore it fully. Don't be like, "Oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with this situation." Like little boys and their little thing, they're like, "Man, what's going on with it? Hey, hey, just leave that thing alone. Leave it alone. It'll go back to sleep." So that was one of the things we said. So whenever you notice your little boy or something, "Hey,
Mhm.
hey, leave that thing alone.
Mhm.
Let it go back to sleep. Tell it to go back to sleep. Don't be messing with it. That thing goes pee pee." So we
Yeah.
didn't be like, "Son, what are you doing?" Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's just heap shame and secrecy on him. That's not a good plan.
Yeah.
Nor do we just want to fully ignore. Hey, leave your wiener alone. Leave your wiener alone. Which of course brings in a whole nother conversation. Do you call it by the anatomy? Do you call it
Right.
by nicknames? Some people are
Right.
really, really big on like you must use proper anatomical names. I'm like, have at it, like, whatever. I mean, I think we did both. I think there were times where I was like, "Hey, just so you know, that's called your penis." Like, "Penis?" Like, "Yep, that's what it's called. That's the name of it."
Right.
"It's my wiener." "Yeah, I know. We call it your wiener. We call it your whatever." But, um, if I had daughters, I don't know what we would have ended up calling it. But at some point, I would also told her like, "Hey, that's your
Yeah.
vagina. That's the name of it."
Yeah.
"What's my vagina? I thought we called it." "Yeah, it's whatever."
Mm.
So the idea there is actually to help protect them, so they have language to protect
Mm.
themselves from abuse, which is actually, you know a sister, a sibling to this conversation,
Yeah.
because
100%.
part of my motive in these conversations throughout their lives has always been to protect them as well. Hey,
Mm.
that part of you is private. It's very special. It's very private. It's not a deep, dark secret, but it's very private and special. So we're
Mm.
talking to them and they're comfortable talking to daddy and mommy like, I'm safe. Daddy and mommy are looking out for me. I can talk about my little boy parts. If we had daughters, I can talk about my little girl parts. I can talk about questions that I have. Daddy and mommy are my safe place to do all of that. But I always taught my boys when they're like, hey, nobody's allowed to show you their privates. You're not allowed to show them your privates. And I would give scenarios like, hey, if you're at somebody's house, or hey, if you're at your grandparents', and we even told the grandparents, well, hey,
Mm.
you know, whenever you're bathing them, depending on age and stuff, like if they're old enough, like, oh, I'll wash my wiener. And like,
Mhm.
grandparents will be, okay, you wash your wiener. He washes his wiener, and then they can wash the rest of him. So you can just figure that out, but they're equipped to know that daddy said, hey, nobody's allowed to see this except for the
Mhm.
doctor when daddy and mommy there, and grandparents and your uncle and aunt when they're watching you, whatever, like that's fine. But
Mm.
no other scenario, no friends, no anything like that. And
Right.
of course, I always prepped them early. I said, hey, boys, someday, I've told all of them this, someday, some friend is going to show you their phone
Mm.
and you're going to see naked people. That's going to happen, son. It is? Who's gonna do it? I don't know which friend will do it, but somebody's gonna do that to you, and when they do, all you have to do is say, "Hey, that's for marriage, that's not appropriate," and then you're gonna let daddy know, so we can talk about it, because daddy loves you, and that's something that's inappropriate. That's only for a husband and wife, it's not for anybody who's not married, we shouldn't be looking at anybody else. So that's going to happen, okay? You understand me? Yes, sir. Or you might see it, or you might look something up on accident, maybe even on purpose one day. You just always tell daddy, and we're
Mm.
gonna we're gonna pray together, and the Lord's gonna bring us teaching and help, and so they're like, "Wow, okay, this stuff is safe to talk about with daddy and mommy." The Family Captain is all about helping Christian husbands to build an incredible marriage and family culture. It's self-leadership, it's family leadership, it's sex and marriage, all made practical so husbands, wives, and children can enjoy God's best and truly thrive. It's one thing to believe that Christians should have the best marriages and sex lives. It's another thing to know how to make it all happen. But inside our Family Captain Elite coaching program, that's exactly what you're going to learn. In the Family Captain Elite, men are not only equipped with the conviction to act, but also with the wisdom to navigate their exact situations. And they get a clear, practical path to get them the incredible fruit that they're after. So, if you want to take your marriage and family culture from just fine to incredible, then go to thefamilycaptain.com and book a free assessment call to see if the Family Captain Elite program really is a good fit for you. That's thefamilycaptain.com. Family leadership is a high calling for your life. So, what are you waiting for?
I hear this objection a lot from parents who have like kids who are between 10, 11, 12, or whatever. It's like, hey man, have you had the talk, or have you had the talk? And in most cases, they're like, "Ah, they're not even thinking about that. What do you come on, man." Like, "No, they literally show no interest in girls, or she shows no interest in boys, or whatever." So my question is the real problem the kids, or that adults are more uncomfortable with this conversation?
Yeah, there's no problem with kids with this. Like,
Mm.
adults are uncomfortable with it because adults still have problems and misunderstandings around it.
Right.
I know of many Christian wives. Natalie says this about herself. Like she had the that kind of attire is inappropriate,
Mm,
even in the bedroom. Like that's like in her mind, only a
interesting.
slut would wear that. But where did she get that from? Like, that came from
Sure.
either a cultural thing or a
Mhm.
church thing or a parental thing. Well, hang on a second. Like,
Mm.
there's a time and a place for that. So if she had been told properly, like, "Oh, that's not appropriate for the whole world.
Mhm.
That's husband stuff." That's husband and wife stuff. So kids are gonna be whatever they're discipled into, and most of our kids are just kinda discipled by the conglomerate, by
Mm.
everybody. So I'm just telling parents to be more deliberate about their discipleship of their kids
Sure.
in this area, and dads in particular. Take point
Mhm.
to actually have a plan. So you might not agree with my perspective, guys. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing I want you to come away with this episode with is you better be the primary discipler for your kids in every aspect of their lives, and particularly their sexuality. Man, the enemy has wounded so many people in their childhood in their
Mm.
sexuality.
Yes. I'll
So
agree.
many people. I have
Mm.
pastored, I have coached, and I have been around for a minute. I'm
Mhm.
41 years old, and I've been a part of a lot of men's ministry things, and I know about a lot of women's ministry things. The enemy has wounded so many people in their sexuality,
Yeah.
in their childhood with perversion, with abuse,
Mhm.
with wickedness, with early exposure. Like all the guys, if we get together, we can all. I remember I spent the night at that friend's house, and I remember it was the typical Playboy story.
Yep.
His dad had the Playboy calendar in the garage. I remember being like excited,
Mhm.
guilty, excited. Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, my dad's got a whole case of them. Like literally the cedar chest chock full of the Playboys. Like, that was my exposure,
Right.
spending the night at a friend's house,
Right.
and so many guys have so many stories of, exposure or abuse, which is even worse, of course,
Mhm.
and so the enemy has just been so deliberate here, and parents are like, "Oh, we're not gonna talk about that till." Man, so many kids have experienced tragedies or just temptations, and they don't have anybody. I feel ashamed. Like, I didn't go home and tell dad, "Hey, dad, I was excited. I saw boobies, and I don't know what to do with it, and I feel all these strange."
Mhm.
Like, I can't process all that. I'm not ready to do all that. But if dad had been like, "Hey, buddy, someday somebody's gonna show you boobies, and you're gonna feel this, and you're gonna feel that, and you're gonna feel, and I just want you to come tell me because I love you, and everything's gonna be okay, and we're gonna go to Jesus for grace and power and wisdom, and daddy's gonna teach you more," like whatever. And be like, "Okay." I don't know, would that have caused me to come all the way through to dad? Maybe, maybe not, but it wouldn't have hurt nothing, and it certainly wasn't gonna cause me to go seek out boobies anymore. Um, there was a trash bag back in our woods when I was a kid. I don't know who put it there, but it had a bunch of pornos in it.
Wow.
I was too scared to go look at it, thankfully, but, like, newsflash, dads, your kids are not having to dig through dumpsters for porn anymore. Like, some of the stories from us bros from our childhood, some are kind of comical. I heard John Acuff, he's a Christian author,
Mm.
or he's a Christian who writes books. His books
He
aren't, I don't
he's
think,
awesome.
particularly,
Yes.
but, like, he's got this thing, he's like, "I remember digging through." He's talking about, like, fake Bible studies as a
Mhm.
kid or, like, in high school, like, just where everybody's like, "Oh, I just wish I was just in the Word more." Like, but that's not where they were. If that's really where they are, then that's good. He's like, "So, like, we're going around the circle and, like, talking about what we need prayer for, and, like, I just need to pray more, and I just need to read my Bible more." He's like, "The day before, I had been digging through the county dump searching for boobies."
Wow.
And, he's like,
Yes,
"But I wasn't about
dude.
to say that to anybody."
Sure.
It's like, that was us back in the day, and
Mhm.
now, like, my brother in Christ, if you don't have absolute legit lockdowns on your devices in your home, your kids have seen graphic, pornographic material. "No, I don't think so, man." My brother, denial is more than just a river in Egypt. Like, bro's just he's just a clown.
I
The
just got
bro
that.
who
That was
doesn't
hilarious.
limit his kids' digital devices with true security. "Well, I've
Yes.
got this thing on it." I didn't say you don't have a thing on it. I'm saying, are you stopping that, making that outcome an impossibility? There's
Yeah.
a difference. "Well, we got this software." We've had softwares before that are trash.
Mhm.
Like, it takes a lot of effort. I think, frankly, way too much effort to get these
Mhm.
things protected. But it's an
Yes.
important work because our kids need protection. But part of that protection is teaching them about the true thing, not just stay away from the bad stuff. Yeah, also, son, also, daughter, this is a glorious gift. Satan's a pervert, and he
Yes.
perverts things. He takes it out of the marriage bed and says, "It's for everybody. It's for a certain time." He says, "It's for all the time. It's for certain
Mhm.
people." He says, "It's for any combination of people or critter or anything else."
Right.
So, for them to have that framework of, this is good. Fire is awesome in a fireplace. Fire is awesome in a stove.
Yes.
Fire is awesome in the right container, but in the wrong place, fire will destroy.
Amen.
And this is part of
Yes.
our process to disciple our children.
Yes. Yes. I actually used that exact analogy when I had the talk with my daughter, which, speaking of that, my wife and I had the talk with our daughter, and it was I I didn't understand, the concept of, like, multiple talks. I had just always assumed it was this big moment, and so when we did, it was because she was asking so many questions so frequently. We finally were like, "We should probably have a conversation with you." She's like, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?" So every night she's like, "Hey, do we have time? Do we have time?" So we finally did. and, um, and it was good. It was a great conversation, but she had to ask so many times because we were kinda like, "Is she ready? Is she ready?" So, I love that you're talking about starting early and letting this information compound. But for the parents who took a similar approach to me and my wife, for the ones who are like, "Oh, I haven't had the talk yet, and we're a little late," and so what would you suggest when it comes to starting to drip this information? He's 11, he's 12.
Right. Yeah, so if we've done 0 in this
Yeah.
area and you're like, "Oh, great, that yes, I wish I could rewind and I can't. What do I do right now?" I think right now, whenever you go to your kids, I think the more I don't have girls, but I suspect that if I had girls, the older that they would get, and all of our girl dads can chime in on this, I'm sure the older my daughters got, the more they would be Natalie's, you know? Like,
Mhm.
she's teaching them to be women. Like, when they're little, yeah, we're both kinda doing a lot of heavy lifting, and I would still be leading them in tons of ways, but the sex conversations, that's gonna be stuff with their mama, and sex conversations with the sons would be with me, and I think that's right, but for those who are like, "Hey, we haven't done anything," I think the thing to do is you have to have that first icebreaker. "Hey, buddy, let's take dad and son first." And the wife with the daughter, I think, is the same kinda concept here. "Hey, buddy, you know, dad has really, missed it on something. There's something I haven't done that I should have done a long time ago. Is we should have talked about sex much sooner." "Oh, no," depending on the kid's personality. "No, no, I know all about that. I know all about that." Typical, like, it's like a movie script. Like, "Oh, don't tell me that stuff. I know. I learned it. I don't need." Well, already that tells us we're too late. Why how do I know we're too late? Number 1, because he says he already knows it.
Mm.
But number 2, his freaking out over it. What's all
Right.
the freaking out? What's all
Interesting.
the going on? So there's 2 evidences that, man, clearly he doesn't have a re "Yeah, yeah, dad, I know it's a special thing for" if that's what your 11-year-old, 12, 13-year-old says, then that's great. "Yeah, dad, I know it's a special thing for marriage, and I know the world is perverted by the devil, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the marriage bed with my wife someday, and until then, I will not awaken love before it's time." If that's what he says, praise God. Somebody did some discipleship that you didn't do. But I think just make that first icebreaker quick and be like, "Hey, buddy, dad should have talked to you about sex before now, and, I just want you to know I'm just gonna continue to we'll just have pockets and moments where, 'Oh, dad, I don't' son, I'm not sure why you're being weird about it, 'cause, I don't wanna talk about it.'" Well, alright, well, here's the first lesson, buddy. Sex is a good gift that God has given to marriage, and the world has perverted it and made it to seem like this naughty, nasty thing. Well, in the context that the world celebrates it, it is actually naughty and nasty, but it's a good gift that God has given. So there's lesson 1. That one's done. But anyway, we'll talk more about it. I just want you to know I'm going to be bringing it up just as it comes up in life. And there's plenty of opportunities because it's a pretty sexualized world. So we'll be able to go to them. Okay, Dad, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, take it easy on the kid. If it's going to be super strange for him, take it easy on yourself. If it's going to be super strange for you, like literally less than 2 minutes, you just kind of broke the ice and you gave yourself track to run on for the future. Just hey, bud, we'll talk more about this, but just want to say about a bum and really I should have been more involved and like don't press too hard too fast. Don't be like, all right, son. So like, what have you seen from the like he doesn't have that trust yet. He doesn't know if this is a grace-based conversation or if you're getting ready to go nuclear on him.
Yep.
So we want to start to normalize the conversation so that he knows that he's going to be discipled and that he knows that he can actually get his questions answered and he can know he can be trained properly.
It's really wise insight, for the father and mother who have not had the talk and feel a little behind. Let's go back to, selfish question. I have 4 and 5-year-old boys. So, I've heard people can buy books, I can have resources. You're telling me I just have to have these, like, tiny little, you know, uh, conversations. Is it a both and? Is it, "Hey,
I
dad,
think
it's up to
so. Man,
you?"
I bought back in the day, I bought, like, all of the resources. There's multiple Christian resources
Yeah.
that even have ages and stages.
Yeah.
So, like, this is what you share from ages 2 to 4, and this is the book for ages 5 to 8, and this is the
Mhm.
book for ages 9 to 11, and so I think there's at least 2 Christian-based series. So I grabbed a couple things off the bookshelf. Um, I don't know where the rest of them are. Before I Was Born, God's Design for Sex, book 2, ages 5 to 8. So this is the kind of thing that, yeah, you read all of it, and then you're like, "Oh, yeah, I can share that." Or you read and you're like, "It's too soon." You're like, "Okay, well, good news, the author's not in charge of your kids, you are,
Yes.
and you don't have to show your kids any of these books. They're designed to be read with the kids, but you can just read them and you're like, "I have more language for that now. I didn't know how to say that part, but,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can say that." God
Mm-hmm.
made you. Did you know that God knew you before you were in mommy's womb, and he's the one who formed you in mommy's womb? What's a womb? It's this special place in mommy's body where you used to live in my body. Like, and then I came out of your belly button? You didn't come out of mommy's belly button. You came out of it's a girl part of mommy that you came out of. What is I'll tell you more when you can pause at any part, parents.
Sure.
I'll explain more when you're older, but it's mommy's special mommy parts, and that's the part you come out of. It's not the belly button. "I thought it was the belly button. So and so says the belly button." Hey, only talk to daddy and mommy about this. But yeah, these resources are helpful. This is another one.
That's good.
God Made All of Me, a book to help children protect their bodies. I haven't even opened this one today. I haven't opened it in years. Um, it's a little boy with his daddy. What did God make? God made all things. Did God make me? He made my hands. He made my nose. He made my face. You are in charge of your body. You can say stop. You can say all done. You can say no more. You can always tell daddy and mommy that you need help, like
Mm-hmm.
resources. I don't know.
Yeah.
$100 goes a long way. You get a couple little children's book series, and you get a couple on talking about sex, and you get a couple on protecting them from sexual abuse. You have massively leveled up. I have a 3-book rule that I teach. 1 book, you're like, well, you're better than 0. 2 books, still better than 0. But 3 books, like, you can go from 0 to this little universe is starting to make sense to me. Like, I know enough to know how much I don't know. I'm not even approaching expertise or mastery yet, but I'm not as ignorant as I was. You take that with any subject matter. Like, I have found like 3 books. I'm like, I got a lay of the land. 3 different authors, typically, on any particular subject. It's a really, my 3-book rule. Like, you can really go to like some basic competency. And you're like, I got a clue now. Before, I
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely clueless. Got some differing perspectives, but I got a lay of the land. If guys will
Mm-hmm.
do that with some resources, they don't have to adopt everything that they read, but they can go, I can take that nugget, I can take that nugget, and I've leveled up and I'm much more equipped, which means my kids are going to be much more equipped. Guys, we prayed before this episode that 30 years from now, your children who will be married and thriving in their marriages will have wonderful sex lives, husbands and wives Christ following, and it will be connected to this podcast episode, and they won't have a clue that it's connected to this podcast episode. They're just gonna know the dad did a great job talking to me about sex, and he just said it was like, yeah, it's God's good gift, and like the whole Song of Solomon is all about sex. Like sex is not a thing to be ashamed of. Oh yeah, the devil's a pervert, and he be perverting stuff. So yeah, the world is whack, and we should name it sinful and wrong. So anyway, back to the wholesome thing. So dad just did a great job. So our kids are gonna be able to go into their marriages and like, yeah, they're naked and they're not ashamed, and they're able to enjoy the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional gift that God has given.
Dude, incredible. Yes. And I think the best part about this episode so far has been how we're specifically saying, hey, cool, it doesn't matter what age. It doesn't matter what age. Like, there is an answer and there is a path forward. And so, man, this has been incredibly powerful. I mean, closing words for this one?
Well, the thing I want guys to remember is obviously take ownership of your kids' discipleship in every area, and I think we made our point specifically why it's so important for sexuality, but notice the principle of family captains, is still at play here. We're not playing defense. We're playing offense. We're going from drifting in this specific area of our lives, like, I don't know what to do. And, hopefully the youth group will handle it, or hopefully the children's church will handle it, or hopefully, like, whatever. Unfortunately, somebody else is probably handling it. But we don't want the devil involved in their discipleship. So the principle is always at play of family captains are deliberate. Family captains are thinking through these things. Family captains are formulating their plans. So they don't have to come to all my conclusions or these other conclusions that we've made reference to, but come to a conclusion, brother. You've got to have clarity. You've got to have convictions, and you need to have a deliberate plan for discipleship in this area. So if yours differs from mine, no problem. We got freedom and we got opportunities to lead differently, but you need a plan, and your kids need your leadership here. So that's what family captains do. So get after it.
Yeah. Speaking of offense, 2 things, guys. If you want to learn more about the family captain, check the description below. And the second thing is, I mean, help other brothers play offense on this one. Share this episode. We're not really sure what the algorithms will do with this one and the content, but it's powerful stuff, man. So,
Let me throw out one more
sure.
that we don't often say. Like and subscribe.
100%. Yep.
Podcasts cost you $0. Clicking like and clicking subscribe also costs you $0, but it makes a big difference for us to be able to reach more guys, which is the point. So if you've been
Yes.
blessed, help another brother out, spread the word, tell the algorithms that this is good stuff.
Till next time, my man.
Go captain your ship. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Family Captain Podcast. Now go take some action and serve by leading well. Also subscribe, leave a review so more men can find the podcast and be helped. And if you're ready to take your growth to the next level and you'd like more support, check out thefamilycaptain.com for our resources that'll help you accelerate your journey. And until next time, go captain your ship.